Story 1. When Quiz Up was a thing, I was number 1 in Canada at Breaking Bad trivia for a few months.
Chuckles, I accidentally made friends with this Indian guy on Quiz Up because we kept tying over and over on English grammar, re-challenging each other. Smiles, we're still Instagram friends to this day.
Ilubatis. It brings back memories. I was number 1 for capital cities and also dinosaurs in Malaysia. My friend and I decided we wanted to rank number 1 for 2 separate topics, and we would duke it out back to back and exchange number 1 spots every so often. What a time.
I wonder if I played you, because I'm pretty high up in the Canadian one as well. I was number 1 in geography for Canada.
Story 2. Catching spontaneously falling things. Spices, dishes, towels, forehand, backhand, behind the back, no look. Doesn't matter, I'm catching it instinctually. The problem is there's never anyone watching when it happens, so I have no witnesses. But trust me.
Oh my God, I have this too. I've never been athletic or good at sports in any way, but I can catch anything falling. I can drop something and catch it with the same hand before it hits the ground. I don't know how I do it. It's just suddenly in my hand, like some kind of young Harry Potter moment. I love it. It's like my favorite thing about myself.
I work as a server, sometimes clumsy and always a careless caretaker of your expensive night out. One time, I was bringing Grandma's extra-large birthday cake out for a party of 50 or so. I was just getting it set up for the candles, not trying to draw attention as I put it on my little counter. It was at this point I messed up. I didn't realize the dessert staff had put the cake on the metal tray while it still had the plastic tray from the bakery below it. That baby slipped off and was free-falling. The most amazing cake catch of all time with my non-dominant hand, but I sincerely hope no one saw it. That one time someone finally saw the superhuman catch-falling item's power in action.
I've caught a couple of knives without injury by the back of the blade, the handle, and even pinched between fingers and thumb without contact with the blade. One time I caught a knife by the handle with the tip facing down, so it definitely would have jabbed my foot. Saved myself there. But each time I catch a knife or something similarly dangerous, for example, a burning candle, I have a few moments and I worry because I know it could have turned out much differently.
Story 3. Guessing exactly when the microwave has 1 second left. I haven't heard the beep in my house since 2018. It is a completely useless, high-stakes superpower that provides 100% of my daily dopamine. Chuckles, my wife is not impressed.
Chuckles, related skill. With 5 options, I can pick the correctly sized glass container for leftovers. I realize it is a special talent, as my spouse cannot and overfills containers, staining my lids.
Oh, this is a good one. Everyone on this thread should band together to form some sort of useless superhero group. Mine's catching spontaneously falling objects.
Man, the very day I bought a microwave with a mute function, my quality of life improved 700%. I don't even have to hear the button beeps. It's fucking magnificent.
Story 4. Catching flies midair with my hand. I can predict their path. My kids think I'm a superhero.
I was in my boss's office, and there was a pesky fly buzzing around while my boss was trying to talk to me. I diverted my attention to it, started tracking it, and whipped my fingers at it. First try, I fucking nailed it. Knocked it straight into the trash bin beside his desk. My boss looked at me, completely incredulous, and goes, "What the fuck?"
Mine is shooting flies with a rubber band. And I operate the rubber band with 2 hands, not 1. That increases the velocity of the shot. An aunt of mine who witnessed it for the first time initially thought I was taking the piss until she saw the fly half dead on the floor. Chuckles.
He'd better give you a raise. Or else. Smacks another fly.
Story 5. For some reason, people open up to me really quickly. No pushing, they just open up. There are times it takes a few minutes to an hour at most, and all of a sudden, people are trusting me with their backgrounds and secrets. So many secrets. It becomes a minefield after a while.
I have this too. People trust me. Well, do they know? I can't wait to spill the tea to my partner.
Are you Lord Varys, the spider?
You don't have to say. Keep your secrets.
Chuckles, I'll just assume you are.
Me too. It's so weird. It happens ever since I started talking with everyone with a knife in my hand. So weird.
Story 6. I suppose at one point I was top 10 in terms of knowledge of the very specific field of science I wrote my dissertation on. Granted, I don't think more than 30 or 40 people in the world were doing research in the same area as me.
I'm a professor now, and I tell my students that the reason so many faculty come across as assholes is that at some point they were quite literally the world's foremost expert on a particular concept. For those who don't know, most PhD theses must be a new and original contribution to the field, so literally the first time in history that thing has been done. In that moment, maybe a dozen people on Earth could even understand that topic at your level. The problem is faculty remember that feeling and start to think it applies to everything they know. They forget the part where, if maybe only a dozen understood at their level, there was at most only 30 to 50 people who gave a flying shit about it.
Story 7. Coming up with the perfect comeback to something, a few days after the opportunity to say it has passed.
Yeah, well, the jerk store called, and they're running out of you. Chuckles.
Yeah, it was a cold one a few years ago, and I had a knit fisherman's sweater over my work uniform. I always thought it was pretty nice and comfy, and it was from Eddie Bauer too, but apparently it may not have appealed to everybody. One of my coworkers looked at it, right in the middle of the morning huddle, and said, "Nice sweater, looks like something my wife would wear." Maybe 2 hours later, I thought, yeah, she looked pretty good in it, in bed, earlier, or something like that, kicking myself for not coming up with that in the moment.
Story 8. Probably understanding entertainment metadata, and possibly understanding friendly human-porcupine interactions in the wild. Chuckles.
We have a resident porcupine that's been visiting us for the past 4 years. Almost daily. He'll sit on our porch next to my wife while she works on crafts. He's brought around other porcupines, including a mother and her baby, who is now fully grown and shows up once in a while. We've also helped capture one to get it rehabilitated from mange, and treated another for the same in the wild. We've helped the primary porcupine rehabilitate from a fall from a tree. It happens a lot because they nap up there and aren't the most careful or graceful critters. So, outside of actual erethozonologists, of which there aren't that many, we probably have more insights than almost anyone. Unless you were asking about the entertainment metadata thing.
I actually meant more about entertainment metadata, but this was awesome. The porcupine whisper. Do you feed them?
We used to give the main one an apple now and then, especially when it's sub-zero outside, and we also fed him when he was injured, under the recommendation of our wildlife rehabilitator. But otherwise, we try to let him be a normal, wild porcupine. He makes a daily visit to our compost bin. The others we haven't fed at all, but I've happened upon 3 of them sitting in our compost bin at the same time. Chuckles, for the entertainment metadata, see my username. I've been in meetings with Disney, Apple, Netflix, and others where I've had to talk them through the shortcomings of their metadata schemes. Thankfully, things have become a bit more standardized over time, mostly due to the Entertainment ID Registry, or EIDR. But it's still an industry that avoids modernization and sanity much of the time.
Story 9. I can pick the absolutely right-sized container for things. Leftovers? Every time. Knowing if someone will fit in my car just by looking at them? Absolutely. My husband is mesmerized by the leftovers one. Story 10. I would love to see high scores from Burnout 3. Takedown. It's been 20 years. I used to have photographic proof, but it's long gone. My record was something like 270 takedowns on the Silver Lake southbound map. A quick search on Google before I posted this, and people are bragging about 70. Story 11. Mentally replaying conversations from 7 years ago and improving my arguments in the shower. Chuckles world class. Story 12. Top 10 is pushing it. But you know that specific test where you have 100 jumbled up panels on a screen numbered 1 to 100 and have to click them in ascending order? I'm really fucking good at that. Story 13. When Spotify Wrapped came out last year, I was the number 6 listener worldwide for my top favorite artist. Story 14. If someone looks familiar on TV, I can easily find out where I remember the actor from using Google or IMDb. So yeah, I'm like amazing.
Same here, but with voice actors. My little one is 3, so there's a lot of animated stuff on TV. Give me 30 seconds to listen, and I can tell you exactly who it is and what else they've been in or are currently in. For example, Ant-Man and Spidey and his amazing friends is Sean Jambroni, otherwise known as Adam Goldberg from the Goldbergs.
You had me in the first half because I can actually do this without using the internet. I find it easier to remember where else we know them from than remembering their name. Unless you meant without using Google, so it's the same. Chuckles.
In all seriousness, I usually know and just verify with Google or IMDb. My boyfriend and I love playing. Where else have we seen or heard this actor?
Story 15. Slap hands. I've never lost and have played against hundreds of people. Full disclosure. I forfeited once when a friend, who knew I was amazing at this, was determined to beat me and played for about 15 minutes straight while I slapped the shit out of his hands. His hands started to get puffy, so I told him I quit. Pride is a motherfucker.
Chuckles. Yeah. But have you played knuckle basketball? It's where you hit each other's knuckles until someone gives up, just like tennis.
Story 16. Relevant background information. In the past, mind reading was considered a glorified party trick by those who didn't know better. For those born with this natural skill, they were made to feel crazy and ashamed of their talent. I always saw it as a science that hadn't been discovered yet. One that people weren't ready to hear about. Recent studies have finally confirmed that communication between two lucid dreamers is not only possible, but can be fine-tuned for each individual. This information is not only groundbreaking for the dream-walking community, but lays the foundation for studies in mind reading and soul reading. I relayed all of this information so that the person reading this can truly comprehend the magnitude at which I bullshit.
That's good, considering its purpose wasn't to do either of those things. It was just meant to be silly and give someone a chuckle. If it didn't work for you, then we simply have a different sense of humor, and that's okay. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Story 17. Back in the day, a particular security framework, when it first came out, was arguably one of the top 5 in the world. Story 18. Grabbing a perfectly sized container for any leftover food. I'm terrible at maths in general, but incredible at estimating volume. Story 19. Driving. Everybody else on the road is doing the wrong thing. But when I do that exact same thing, it's not wrong, actually. Story 20. I can stand on my head for 10 days straight. Chuckles, and I'm the #1 liar in the world, by the way. Story 21. Being able to identify a celebrity voice in a 3-second snippet from the other room while the dishwasher is running. Like, why is Oprah on this commercial? Or, I didn't realize there was a new Matt Damon movie out. Chuckles. Story 22. A white passing male who speaks Japanese and English natively with no accent. I speak Japanese better than some Japanese people.
Yeah, and with no accent, unlike non-speakers who try to sing in Japanese.
Story 23. The blinking game with my dog. I am #1 in the world at this because I'm the only one who could do it. We used to have staring contests. I would do a sequence of blinks and nose wiggles. He would copy. Then he would do a series of blinks and nose wiggles. We would continue until one of us messed up. The one who didn't mess up was the winner. He would get so grumpy if he lost. He would legitimately snarl and grumble. The longest we did it for was maybe 30 minutes. When he won, he would do a spinny because I would give him a treat. Which is hilarious because he was a giant Saint Bernard. Rest in peace, Odin Bandito. You were the most glorious king boy that ever lived. Story 24. Combined lore and mechanics knowledge for the cyberpunk dark future. Also known as Cyberpunk 2077, Edge Runners, Cyberpunk 2020, Cyberpunk Red, Phantom Liberty, Cyberpunk 2013, 2030X, and 2070X. Story 25. I'm arguably top 2 at being myself. There's probably a Central Intelligence Agency agent out there who can out-me. Story 26. I'd like to nominate this lady. Story 27. Quite a few years back, there was an online Katen website by Klaus Tuber with ranked games. At the start of the year, there was a reset and I played a few games soon after. Somehow, I beat the right competitors in the right order and maintained a #7 ranking worldwide. I bragged to my indifferent wife about my official world ranking. Now, this being around the first of the year, we were expected to celebrate with my wife's family. Her brother, a fancy fella who worked at Hustler magazine at the time, cultivating submissions from MySpace contributors in his column Girls of MySpace, declared that we should play this new German game he just discovered. He even sent his wife to the mall to buy it. My wife, his sister, asked, "Are you talking about Settlers?" He said, "Why, yes, I am." She, the younger sister always competing, replied, "You know your brother-in-law, Mekasilvatungdeville, is currently ranked 7th in the world." Documentation followed. He unfortunately refused to play despite having sent his wife to buy the game. After the holiday, I returned home and within a day was ranked number 134. Within a week, I was number 750. But for that glorious weekend, I was in the top 10, and my cool as hustler working brother-in-law, who sent me Hustler CDs which I gave to my boomer dad, was defeated. Story 28. Clash of Clans, Town Hall 9 stars in the single-player campaign, 263 out of 270. I'm literally ranked 4th in the world, and 1st in my country the last time I checked. Story 29. I reckon I'm probably one of the top 50 people who found the most 4+ leaf clovers. I found thousands. It started with hundreds, then I began working at an SSP school, where I do a lot of walking around the field trying to calm students. There are even patches I like to call my lucky patches, where there are almost always several 4-leaf clovers growing together. I found 5-leaf, 6-leaf, 7-leaf, 8-leaf, and 9-leaf clovers as well. Story 30. Yu-Gi-Oh! Collections. I don't have a ton of super valuable individual cards, like Ghost Rare Stardust Dragon, DDS Blue Eyes, and so on, but I have a massive, categorized, and cataloged Yu-Gi-Oh! Collection of deck cores, archetypal cores, staple cards, and other cards needed for gameplay. They are cataloged by archetype and era of play, from the current format back to GOAT format. Story 31. Yo-Yo. I'm amazing at it. I've been doing it for maybe 35 years now. I can do all kinds of wild shit with a yo-yo. Story 32. Jerking off and growing fingernails. I've been doing it a long time. I can do both at the same time. Story 33. Top 10 mods from my knowledge for Battlefront 2 2005. And what plays nice together, what doesn't, troubleshooting, and so on. Story 34. Detecting rancid oil by smell. Can be the faintest bit rancid, any kind of oil. Cooking oil, oils in cosmetics, pastries, nuts, chips, butter, art supplies. Literally anything with oils in it that's even the slightest bit off, I can smell it. Story 35. I've got another one. Waking up 5 seconds before my alarm goes off, so I can shut it off before it starts ringing. No matter what time of day it is, always 5 seconds before. Chuckles. Story 36. There's a fandom called Country Humans. It's like if Poland Ball and Hitalia had some horrible love child. It's a very small fandom, and I'm one of 3 artists that I know of who mainly draw Australia. Story 37. No judgment here. I don't care what you've been through or done. I can probably figure out the why easily. I'm really good at emotional intelligence. I don't judge. Ever. At all. Story 38. I maxed out a version of 2048 that let you undo it when it shafted you. Pretty sure no one else could be bothered. Story 39. For my 2024 Spotify Wrapped, I was in the top 0.005% of listeners for a song by an artist that had roughly 10,000 monthly listeners. So it's possible that I listened to that one song more than anyone else in the world that year. It was Over Atlantic City by Port Blue, a side project from Owl City. Story 40. I played this game on Christmas. It was pure random brain teaser word games that I had picked up. Like, where do you bury the survivors of a crash? And so on. Killed it and everyone was amazed. I felt so smart. Then everyone stood up and started applauding. Story 41. Touching the tip of my nose with my tongue? Moving my ears independently or together? Chuckles. I don't know. Story 42. Chuckles? I'd say I'm probably top 10 at remembering useless movie trivia, and it's honestly my secret superpower no one suspects. Story 43. Black soldier flies. I work with people who have made discoveries and published research papers on them. Story 44. I sometimes play this target shooting PC game called Reload. The Steam version has Steam leaderboard support. If I remove the hack scores as of the last picture I took, I would be number 8 at 1,482,311 points. Otherwise, I'd be number 12. Not many people play that game at all, but it's something I'm proud of. Story 45. Playing Constellars without the disgusting puke of the archetype Telarch Knights? Why? Because I'm the only person on Earth left playing it. Also Chronicles, but that's beside the point. Story 46. I can wake up before the alarm and turn it off no matter what time it's set for. 2:02, I'll wake up at 2. At 6:46, I'll be up at 6:45. I put the alarm on as backup, but haven't actually heard it in decades. Story 47. For a bit, I was ranked number 5 Zoe and Twisted Fate on Wild Rift, which is basically mobile League of Legends. I could easily push for rank 1 on either one, but it was basically a game of who can know life the most. Story 48. I used to be ranked in the top 10 for the Recon class in the game Global Agenda, the first game by Hi-Rez. I also used to be probably in the top 0.1% of drummers. It was my career for 10 years, both gigging and teaching. Now I'm just mid. Story 49. Many years ago, I was ranked top 10 in NBA 2K. Most people would rage quit when playing against me because my defense was so suffocating. Story 50. I'm in the top 1% of Daft Punk listeners and top 5% of Gorillaz listeners. Not sure that makes me in the top 10% of anything, but I don't mind those percentages at all. Chuckles. Story 51. Well, I've always thought about this when it comes to consciousness. I think I'm up there in terms of how high one's consciousness is. Although I'm also aware this probably sounds stupid to most of you, but I think everyone has a different level of consciousness. Some low, some high.
Not stupid. I've always thought that people display varying levels of consciousness.
Story 52. Listening to Alanis Morissette. I'm in the top 0.1% of listeners in the world. Don't worry, I'm fine. I just really like Jagged Little Pill. Story 53. There was a game called Backflip Madness. I saw a video on YouTube where someone said they thought it was impossible to get over 3,500 points for one flip or something. I thought so too, so I dedicated a couple of months to trying to get as many flips as possible off the highest ledge, using another ledge to kind of speed up the flip. It was very tricky, but it worked and I got over 4,000 points, maybe even 5,000 something. But I just looked and there's another video that did the same flip as me, and another with a different flip that has over 8,000 points. So now I'm doubting my top 10 status. Story 54. Residential sheet metal ductwork sizing and design. Your equipment runs so much better, longer, and quieter when the duct is sized correctly. Story 55. On Pistol Whip, the virtual reality game for the MetaQuest, on the first level at easy difficulty, with aim assist off and using 2 pistols, with those settings, I have the second highest score in the world. Damn, now you know. Story 56. Chuckles. I used to be able to tell the time to the exact minute a few years ago. Now I can't do that anymore. But yeah, it was fun guessing what time it was and then watching people look confused when they checked it. Story 57. Asking Alexa how much time is left on a timer of any duration and being within 15 seconds of it ending. Story 58. Getting crackheads on the street to trust me. Not sure how. Never tried it, but give me 90 minutes in a busy city and I'm 100% sure I can assemble a horde of them to do my bidding. Story 59. I worked in a slaughterhouse in Iceland as a seasonal worker. I eventually found myself moving up from cutting assholes out of sheep to burning hair off decapitated lambs' heads. A delicacy called svi. This was a contract paid per head. Before I started, they had 4 people a day working till midnight. As I was a money-hungry traveler, I built up my speed until I was finishing 120 per hour, approximately 800 to 900 heads per day. I made enough to work 2 months and travel for 4 months. I was the fastest head burner the slaughterhouse had ever seen, and due to the niche industry, I wouldn't be surprised if I am the fastest in the world. Story 60. Watching Netflix and doing research work using a split screen most of the time. Story 61. You know someone's subtly rich when they casually toss around phrases like, "Oh, I'll just have my driver pick it up," with zero irony, like we're not all still stuck in the Uber queue. Chuckles, their shoes? None of them squeak. It's like they've got a secret contract with the universe for silence. And their homes? They have that mysterious quality of being beautifully minimalist, yet oddly never empty of something cool and quirky. What about you? Ever catch a glimpse of someone's unexpected wealth in a small, surprising way? Story 62. According to the different Sudoku apps I've played on Android and iPhone, I'm a top 10% or 5% player. Of course, I assume those player rankings are total bullshit, but that's what they say. Story 63. I have a screaming loud whistle I can do with my mouth without my fingers. My students know I can do it. Story 64. I play Sudoku.com every day. I am in first place by the end of every single day. Story 65. Skipping the intro to anything really. If I can fast forward or if there's a skip intro option, please believe it's happening. I got this habit from my mom and passed it on to my toddler of a daughter. Chuckles. I can't prove this is hereditary, but a case study on it would be interesting. Story 66. The catching falling things skill is real and so underrated. I've saved countless phone drops with some ridiculous ninja reflexes that I can never replicate on demand. My kitchen has witnessed some truly legendary saves with spice jars that I swear defied physics. Chuckles. Story 67. Being neutral and accepted by all sides of my family's civil war. If you understood the insane dynamics and complications of my family, it's crazy how I'm accepted and invited by all sides. I could literally walk between two houses where they're shit-talking the other house and be totally accepted without question. Story 68. Battlefield 1. Carried lobbies. My little brother told our mutual friend that he honestly never saw me lose. I chose how many times I died according to my risk tolerance that day. Accidentally almost set a world record and secured it the next match I had on the map. I'd often go close range with a scope sniper just for the challenge and to capture points solo. Chuckles disgustingly good in 2 words. Story 69. I can stay hard after the first round and give a second one back-to-back, without anything like ecstasy or Viagra. I'm actually very proud of this. Story 70. Voice recognition. Unfortunately, I often can't remember names. So while I know I'm right, whoever I'm telling may never know, because the name won't arrive in my consciousness for approximately 15 minutes to 168 hours. Give or take. Story 71. I'm an engineer in a very niche field. There are probably about 2,000 of us in the world, and I've met several hundred of them. I know I'm better than all of them by every practical metric. That's not just from my own observations, but from what several other impartial senior executive level people have openly told me. Story 72. 1. Using only my eyes, I can seemingly always find the exact midpoint of something. Verified numerous times by measuring afterwards. 2. I was the #1 Canadian Call of Duty Black Ops player. 3. I was the #1 Canadian Quake 3 Arena 1 vs 1 rail player. 4. Finding things that others cannot find. 5. Ad hoc NG anything and everything, especially when I previously knew nothing about it.